In these turbulent times that we're living in, God is raising up a new generation of people. It is a generation of people who knows how to bring comfort to His own heart and to bring rest and peace to the world around them. This is so necessary in the times that we are living in, and that is what I'm going to be talking about today. My name is Arleen Westerhof, and welcome to my weekly word of prophetic encouragement. Today I am going to be talking about indeed that new generation of warrior that God is raising up in the nations now at this time to be able to bring peace and rest to the peoples of the earth. And we're going to unpack that as I speak. Before I do, however, I just want to say to you, if you haven't yet subscribed to my Arleen Westerhof YouTube channel, please take a moment to do that now. We are so appreciative of all of you who are doing that. There is a great community of you now. Everywhere I travel around the world, many of you are letting me know, hey Arleen, I watch your weekly words and they keep me encouraged, they keep me envisioned, and they help me to take the steps I need to take to continue to advance in the calling of God on my life. Today, we're talking indeed about this new generation of people that God is raising up. Recently, the Lord has been speaking to me about Noah from the Old Testament. Noah's life is of significance and importance for us today. In Genesis chapter 5, it talks about Noah's birth. And it says that his father Lamech, he named him Noah because he said, this one will comfort us concerning our work. In another translation of the Bible, it says, this one will comfort us and give us rest, just from that hard labor that we've been involved in. And so that was what Noah's name meant. God is raising up a generation of people who know how to be a Noah in this time. In Genesis chapter 6, it says that as Noah grew, he found grace and favor in the eyes of the Lord. Grace and favor. We all know that Noah lived in a sinful generation. It was a depraved and a degenerate generation. And yet one man, Noah, who walked with God, the scriptures say, and who knew how to understand his voice and who obeyed him, found favor and grace in the eyes of the Lord. In the times that we are living in right now, grace and favor is sorely needed. And in our times, obedience is the best insurance policy that you can have for yourself and for your family. Obedience is going to protect us as the people of God in the season that we are now in. And that was what Noah's life was like. You know what? He knew how to hear the voice of God before anybody taught him. He was attuned to the voice of God. And that was tremendously important. Why? Because Noah lived at a pivotal point in history. There was a before Noah and there was an after Noah. Many of us knew that in Noah's time, man had become so depraved that God said, I am grieved that I have made them. Do we realize that we can grieve the heart of God? Man, the pinnacle of God's creation, God actually said to himself, I am grieved that I created man. But this one man, Noah, was able to do something that comforted and soothed the heart of God. Now that is awesome in the times in which we are living. Not only can we do things that grieve God's heart, but we can do things that comfort and soothe God's heart. And so we're going to take a deep dive into this because this is critically important in our times. Many of our societies look exactly like Noah's society. There are good things, but there is also a level of depravity that is being unleashed on the earth, a level of wickedness that is being unleashed on the earth that if we're not careful, we can despair of things. But God had prepared a solution for Noah's times, and God has prepared a solution for the times that we ourselves are living in. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 8, and I'm going to read Genesis chapter 8, and I'm going to start at verse 20. This is the story of Noah after the flood. Many of us know indeed that God sent a huge flood upon the earth. It destroyed all living things that breathed air. And the flood waters remained on the earth. You know, it was just for a long, long time. It rained from the skies, 40 days, 40 nights. The waters of the deep, the scriptures say, opened up. And so water was coming from above and water was coming from below. And after a while, even the mountaintops got covered. Now, I'm a scientist, and this is not just a myth. There is scientific evidence that there was a time long, long ago when the earth, even the mountains, were covered with water. So this is not a myth. We're talking now about historical fact. But after many, many days, the flood waters receded, and Noah and his family were able to leave the ark that God had caused Noah to build. And literally, the first thing that Noah did when he got out of the ark was he made an offering to the Lord. Let's read about it. In verse 20, it says, "Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and he took of every clean animal and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar." And it says here in the New King James, "And the Lord smelled a soothing aroma." That is really key. The Lord smelled a soothing aroma. And then the Lord said in his heart, "I will never again curse the ground for man's sake, although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, nor will I destroy every living thing as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night, this shall not cease." The earth shall not cease. Day and night shall not cease. Why am I talking about this? It's because God's eyes are roaming to and fro upon the earth, even now, to look for a people. He is searching for men and women who are willing to offer him a soothing aroma so that he doesn't have to pour out judgment. And I'm just here to say God wants us to be those men and women who offer him a soothing aroma. Noah offered God a burnt offering. He laid them on the altar of all of the clean birds and the animals in the ark. What does that soothing aroma, what does that offering look like today that God is looking for? Actually, God is desiring a people whose heart is totally sold out to him. God is desiring a people who may not have all of the answers, but they know who the answer is. It's him. God is desiring a people who are not perfect, but God is desiring a people who know that in their imperfection, there's the body and the blood of Christ, and there's the offer of Jesus Christ, and that he walks with us. That is the people that God is desiring in this day and in this age. And please listen to my heart. It's almost like I'm pleading with you today in this time of shaking that we are going in, as we lay ourselves down on the altar of the Lord, and as his fire falls, it has fallen and it will continue to fall for the next while. You know, indeed, our flesh is going to be burned. We are going to be tried. We're going to have trials, but the Lord is saying that as we do, he's going to release from our offering, the sacrifice of our lives, a soothing fragrance. And that is of intense value to God. last week in my weekly word, I talked about prophetic fire and power. And I said, Jacob, I believe Jacob was one of those men who offered a soothing offering to God, a soothing sacrifice. Why? Because Jacob wrestled with God. He refused to let God go until he blessed him. And I said last week, Jacob was wrestling with God, not just for himself, but for the nation that was supposed to be propagated through him. Abraham begun it. Then there was Isaac. And now Jacob was there, and he had sons, 12 key sons that were supposed to propagate and be the forefathers of the nation and the tribes of Israel. And so Jacob was not just fighting for his own life, he was fighting for the life of a people who God wanted birthed. In this time, you and I, as we lay down our lives as an offering, a burnt offering for the Lord on his altar, we are doing it not just for ourselves, but we are doing it for our families, for our cities, and for our nations. It is through Noah also that the peoples of the earth, you and I, are here today because of Noah's sacrifice. And the earth has not been destroyed yet because of Noah's burnt offering that he presented to the Lord. At which point the Lord made a covenant, a promise that he would never break until Jesus' return, that there would be seed time and harvest day and night as long as the earth remained. Now that is something key. Your life matters. I've said that before in these videos. I'm saying that again. Would you just type that into the comments now of this video? My life matters. It doesn't matter how small you think you are. It doesn't matter how insignificant you think you are. Jesus is saying to you today, your life matters. Just like Noah, he was a man who was unassuming. He did not know that there was a flood coming when he was born. Noah was just an ordinary man. But because he heard the voice of God, and especially because he obeyed the commandments of God, God used him to save at least some of the human race on the planet and to start afresh. That's why you and I, we can emulate Noah. Noah was one who saw God's glory in a world gone bad. And as we lay down our lives, we can see God's glory too. I just want to bless you now as I conclude this weekly word of prophetic encouragement. Just be encouraged. God is true to his promises. The fact that he gave Noah this covenant means that he will never break his promises. But this is the time. This is your hour. This is my hour in which, as we lay down our lives on God's altar, and as we raise up and walk in obedience to his word and carry his heart into this world, God is saying, that will be a soothing offer that will cause him to release his grace upon the earth. And we're going to see a new level of glory like we have never seen before as that happens. Thank you very much for watching my weekly word of prophetic encouragement. You know what? I'm just going to ask you, if this video has blessed you, would you share it? Would you like it? Would you comment on it to your friends and all of the rest, because they need encouragement too. I look forward to seeing you next week on this weekly word of prophetic encouragement.